It is that time again. Yes, an all new edition of Trump Trolls Trump, the show where somebody with a certain last name mocks relentlessly somebody else with the same last name. I'm not going to tell you who is mocking whom. And I'm also not going to tell you how we get to the point where this show is not 17 hours long every week. So we're taking a look back at week 18 of the Trump regime. Yes, that means it has been 131 days since this nightmare started. I guess we could revise that. 131 days plus 10 years. Anyway, Donald's had a bad week, which is such a shame. So let's break down all of the many ways in which he did. Some people have a way with words and others don't. I mean, I think we're aware of this. And let's just say that Donald falls into the latter category. This week, he had more trouble with the English language than normal, which is actually really saying something, as he tried desperately during another long, rambling speech to be coherent. I'm sorry. I think that's giving him a little too much credit. In what universe has Donald ever tried to be coherent? I think he just assumes that he is, and the rest of us just need to catch up. But let's watch this short clip and see if there's anything that stands out.
As a linguist, translator, and cryptologic technician.
Okay. Now, I know what linguists are.
As a linguist, translator, and cryptologic technician.
This close. No, of course, nobody knows what he was trying to say. He doesn't even know what he was trying to say. But did he correct himself? No. Because this is what always happens. He's wrong. And he just proceeds as if everything is just fine. And everybody understands what he's talking about, even when he doesn't. But before we go on, please just remember that we here at Married Trump Media are not corporate media. We don't bend the knee. We're not for sale now, and we never will be. So please like and share our videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Okay, I want to look at the team, so-called, that Donald has assembled. He's made a lot of bad choices of people to be his cabinet members, people actually leading our departments. I misspoke. They've all been terrible. But putting another TV personality in charge of the Department of Transportation has been a particularly bad idea. And again, I mean, I think we have a lot of people competing for the title of worst. But right now, the entire country is afraid to fly. An MTV Road Rules star is Secretary of Transportation, as if that and the fact that Donald thinks he looks like he's from Central Casting makes him qualified. And he's actually warning the American public not to use public transportation, the thing over which he has responsibility. Watch this.
And by the way, listen, if you're a liberal, Larry, they want you to take public transportation. I'm okay with public transportation. We have a whole department here for it. The problem is that it's dirty. You have criminals, it's homeless shelters, it's insane asylums, and it's a work ground for the criminal element of the city to prey upon the good people.
Excuse me? I live in New York City, and last I checked, and I take the subway all the time. Last I checked, there are no insane asylums inside of the New York City subway system. I sometimes wonder, just how, what dark and scary places these people's minds must be. So essentially, the Secretary of Transportation is telling us that he's all for public transportation, but the liberals who are against it have made it dark, dirty, insane, and stuffed it with murderers. Good to know. But at least we haven't fired all of the air traffic controllers. That would be that guy's job. Then, of course, there's Robert Kennedy, who sadly, for anybody who wants to live a healthy life, or I guess live at all, is Secretary of Health and Human Services. Um, Donald promised to let that guy, that sociopathic anti-vaxxer, quote unquote, go wild on nation's health services. Well, this week, Kennedy unveiled the Department of Health and Human Services MAHA report. That's Make America Healthy Again, for those of you who are trying to keep score at home. He presented this report as a, quote, call to action to the stark reality of American children's declining health, backed by compelling data and long-term trends, unquote, also known as shit Kennedy made up in his own head. The report promises to, quote, analyze the evidence, spotlight gaps, and map the terrain, laying the groundwork for coordinated, high-impact solutions, unquote, which is, I think, code for find a problem in search of his chosen solutions. So this language is very vague, ambiguous, and unscientific language, left some people wondering who actually wrote this nonsense. It could not possibly be coming from the Director of Health and Human Services, could it? Because that guy is the one who goes swimming in raw sewage with his grandchildren. That guy is the person who tells the American people to do their own research when it comes to health issues like whether or not to get proven vaccines. So watch here as White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt is asked if the report was authored by artificial intelligence.
A notice investigation found that the Hallmark MAHA Commission report that was released last week cites studies that appear to not exist. We know that because in part we reached out to some of the listed authors who said that they didn't write the studies cited. So I want to ask, does the White House have confidence that the information coming from HHS can be trusted?
Yes, we have complete confidence in Secretary Kennedy and his team at HHS. I understand there were some formatting issues with the MAHA report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report, which, as you know, is one of the most transformative health reports that has ever been released by the federal government and is backed on good science that has never been recognized by the federal government.
And a quick follow-up, can you talk about what tools or research goes into production of these kinds of reports? For instance, is it AI that's used to put together these reports now?
I can't speak to that. I would defer you to the Department of Health and Human Services.
I can't speak to that because I'd have to lie. Oh, wait, she lies all the time. She was just lying throughout most of it. Oh, I see. She wouldn't be able to lie convincingly. By the way, is it really true that this is scientifically based information? No, it's disinformation and misinformation. And I think this is the shortcut that we should be following at all times. If Caroline Leavitt says that it's trustworthy, run away. All right, now let's get to the really big story this week. And it is tacos. I'm sure most of you probably know what I'm talking about, but just in case, you're in for a treat. Who doesn't like tacos, right? So this week, Donald was humiliated on live television when a reporter actually asked a question, which is something that he should be able to handle at this point. The reporter actually asked him about his what are being called taco traits. So check this out.
Trump's trade policy has rattled markets and clouded economic forecasts.
Every few days, there's a new thing, so it's very hard to predict.
I know what the hell I'm doing.
Although we're beginning to see a pattern, and the pattern is big demands, big threats, and then a postponement.
The latest buzzword on Wall Street is TACO, T-A-C-O, standing for Trump Always Chickens Out, reflecting skepticism Trump will follow through with his tariff threats. The president asked about the acronym yesterday after agreeing to delay tariffs on the European Union.
Analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, and then I chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I said? Don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
Ooh, it's a nasty question. It's a nasty, nasty fact-based question. How dare you make me answer it? Anyway, this is the pattern. Donald announces a large sweeping tariff. Stock prices plummet. traders come in, they buy stocks at the depressed prices. Then inevitably, Donald, yes, indeed, chickens out, drops the tariff, and the prices go up again. Then it's time for traders to sell. You know the deal. It's a pretty dependable routine. And now one question is whether or not he's doing it on purpose. And don't get me wrong, he's perfectly capable of market manipulation, stock manipulation, insider trading, that kind of thing. He's been doing that for decades. But I think it's giving him way too much credit to suggest he's playing that long a game. As it turns out, and those of us who have been paying attention have known this all along, Donald doesn't have the power to raise tariffs. This is a responsibility that's constitutionally allocated to Congress. But because he's claimed falsely that there's a national emergency, this has given him some cover, allowing him to get away with the tariff insanity, at least until now. This ultimately is going to be decided by the courts, although the damage will have been done. But here's White House economic advisor Peter Navarro trying to explain what's going on.
Could you explain the administration's justification quickly, if you could, and the legality of economic emergency invocation here on Bratz dolls and Wayfair furniture and Lululemon yoga pants? That's going to be a hard sell to a court that those are economic emergencies that deserve tariffs.
Okay, so let's take the fentanyl issue first.
I said Lululemon and Wayfair.
Oh, you want to do the reciprocal tariffs?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, look, they're specks in grains of sand in a sea of a $1.3 trillion trade deficit.
When are these people ever going to learn that it's a perfectly acceptable thing to say, no, I do not know how to explain that to you? Because otherwise you mislead people into thinking that things like Bratz dolls and Lululemon yoga pants are as addictive as fentanyl. And I think most people would think that that's an absurd case to make. Although, I mean, maybe not for everybody. There may be some people who are addicted to Bratz dolls and Lululemon pants. But I still don't think that makes it a national emergency. Which brings us, sadly, to Dan Bongino. Remember him? He's a right-wing conspiracy theorist podcaster who Donald made deputy director of the FBI alongside of the actual director of the FBI, Kash Patel. And if those two names and those two positions aren't enough to send chills down your spine, I don't know how else to terrify you. These crazy people are now in charge of our nation's top law enforcement organization. You'd think that they would be happy, wielding all of that power they now have to help Donald get people off of his enemies list, but apparently having a real job is infringing upon Bongino's lifestyle. This week, he went on Fox State Television to complain about it. So, I mean, this is going to be tough. So, trigger warning: this is going to be very tough for you to watch, because it's just so deeply, deeply, deeply sad. Check it out.
It was a lot. It's been tough on the family. People ask me all the time, do you like it? I say, no. I don't. I gave up everything for this. I mean, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. I'm in there at 7:30. In the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You straightened out the FBI.
Quit. I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm not a victim. I'm just going to complain about how hard it is for me. And by the way, I mean, I don't know if this is going to assuage the horrors for Dan Bongino, but I'm pretty sure that divorce is going to be coming anytime soon. But Dan, just, I care. I care. So I think you and your family would be so much better off if you stopped working for the FBI. Maybe it would be better for the rest of us too. Not that you care about that, but I'm just putting in my 2 cents there. Oh, by the way, take Cash with you. Somewhere where you don't have to hear him turning on the faucets, because that just sounds like such a nightmare. Anyway, as we know, the media have been bending the knee to Donald for over a decade now, but CNN has been particularly bad. Now, Jake Tapper is using the network as a platform to sell his new book, bashing President Joe Biden. But the both sides argument that routinely goes on in the network's primetime shows may be the worst of all. So CNN has been pretty unwatchable, I think, for a long time, but certainly lately. There's one small glimmer of hope this week, though, on Newsnight when author Jennifer Welch confronted Kevin O'Leary. Watch this.
Wait. If this claim had no merit, we wouldn't be talking about whether it
has no merit.
But they don't have to settle the lawsuit.
But they might
imperil their deal.
I have a question. How do you guys constantly defend the biggest whining titty baby on the planet? He whines.
Excuse me. Did all the executives of CBS lose their jobs on 60 Minutes? Yes or no? Yes. Was it a word salad edit? Yes.
No.
Did they breach their covenant as reporters? Yes.
Wait, what? Speaking of pathetic whiny babies, Kevin O'Leary is a useless piece of garbage. But yes, CNN, keep having him on your increasingly unwatchable panels, which are essentially just food fights. There will be more, however. Like, they're not going to stop anytime soon. And this thing with Paramount wanting to settle an egregiously punitive lawsuit that Donald brought against them. Remember, he's suing them for $100 billion because he's the most absurd person who ever lived. They're actually going to settle it, even though he literally has no grounds for the lawsuit at all. So they want to settle for $15 million, and he wants $25 million. So this isn't going to end anytime soon. And you know what else isn't? Our weekly mockery of the biggest baby on the planet. Again, I'm not going to tell you who it is. I totally trust you to figure all of this out. So thank you, as always, for joining me for our weekly episode of Trump Trolls Trump. We will be back next week, and I will actually be back in the United States of America. So I will see, well, assuming I'm allowed back in. Anyway, I will see you guys very soon.